Hello everybody, I am right now in Nashville with my dear friend. Her name is Tara Perry, and Tara is professional in hypnotherapy, past life regression, acupuncture, mind programming, and today I want to introduce you more so you know about Tara, what she's doing. I had personally experience with her with the past life regression and acupuncture, and I must say it was kind of life-changing experience for me. And that's why I want to share your knowledge, kind of what you do, introduce yourself, what is your specialty, so more people can know about you.
Fantastic, thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you.
I'm Dr.TARA Grace Perry, and for 23 years I had an acupuncture and nutritional medical practice in Beverly Hills, Santa Monica, and Belmont Shore, Long Beach. I trained at one of the top 5 traditional Chinese medical hospitals in Chengdu, China, and taught at Emperor's College and UCLA. And then I had the wonderful privilege of training with Marissa Peer, who's famous all over the world. She won the Best Therapist of Britain award. And when I discovered what she was doing, I realized that I'm able to very adeptly help somebody go into their subconscious mind and reprogram old behaviors and upgrade them to better behaviors, and that's a game changer for people. So it's very exciting to do that work.
How many years have you been doing this work?
Just a couple, but combined with my 23 years of acupuncture and nutritional medicine, I've studied pranic healing for 3 years, so I'm able to combine, cleansing and clearing the chakras. I've always been fascinated with past life regressions, many lives, many masters, and what are we doing here? Quantum physics, the fact that 99.99% of all of this is just empty space, and we're just little packets of energy winking in and out of existence. So yeah, I mean, if you're vibrating at a higher level, it totally makes sense that the world is going to respond to you. So I've found with people, I love working with entrepreneurs and business people, because if you can just take out whatever is limiting them energetically, the world measurably changes for them. So that's exciting.
For the people who doesn't know what is past life regression, please introduce.
That's so there's many people who have done that for decades, like Dolores Cannon and others, and I have found with the people that, like with you and Veronica, that there's just information that informs us how to better live this life, and if you allow the subconscious mind to open and give you that information in a way that you can understand and apply to your life, then your life gets better. Do you want to just describe briefly what happened with you? Because both of you had major transformations, which is wonderful.
Yes, so what happened with us, we have very different experience, me and Veronica, but I will speak from my experience. I was kind of feeling in life, I wouldn't say like stuck, but not here, not there. Like I didn't know, like, is this good direction, what I want to do, what I don't want to do, and I kind of like, not that I'm not conscious enough of living, but I was feeling literally like, or even question myself, who am I? So because I go everyday life and I'm moving so fast that sometimes I forgot who I am. So this past life regression helped me so much. I had chance to access 5 lives thanks to your hypnosis, and we will talk about the hypnosis a little bit deeper, because lots of people are scared about it, and it's absolutely not what you think it is.
It's not.
It is not. I was very conscious. So after this experience and by accessing these 5 lives of my previous existence, it was great reminder who I am, and the outcome I had it was all of my past life. I was healer and leader, and thanks to the questions that I was asking me, it was coming to the surface, all of the essence and all of the good stuff, what actually makes me me. So it was kind of like a reminder, and by end of this session, she was actually recording it. So all of the keywords I was using, let's say, I am so powerful, I am knowledgeable, I am leader, I am healer. So she was recording this past, I would say, essence of the past 10 minutes. And after this experience, I was listening to it for about 3-4 weeks. So I was putting it even more into my subconscious mind. And after that, I could see, moment I have to stop, it's raining too much.
Oh no!
Sorry, I have to take care of your
Yeah,
computer
okay.
too.
Oh geez, my computer.
It's too much.
Shoot. Okay, let's
That's
go
what I'm
inside. Let's go inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So guys, we're gonna continue inside because we were caught in the rain. You saw me running with the camera.
Welcome to Tennessee.
The weather is literally like every 5 seconds it's changing.
Yes.
I was like sunbathing just before this, and then it started to rain hard.
Yes, typical Tennessee, which I happen to love.
Yeah, so anyway, I want to continue with the session and my experience with Tara. So like I said, after this experience and accessing that past lives and accessing my subconscious mind, my kind of, like I would say, self-belief, self-confidence slowly just started to go up, because I remember I'm like, because I know I feel like that. I do feel like a leader, I do feel like a healer, and I feel I'm confident in my life or in my decisions and everything what I do. But sometimes somehow on the way I feel I kind of was like a drifting. So it was beautiful, I would say, reminder and spiritual guidance for me. I want Tara to explain exactly what's happening. So what would you say, like, firstly, why is this experience good for the people, or why do you say like it's actually good, or what kind of outcomes, what is happening? Why would you recommend people to come to you?
Well, it seems like a lot of people's pain is actually the subconscious or the soul trying to achieve something. It wants to have expression in this life at its fullest form. Mm-hmm. So if it's stuck, it's going to keep giving you reminders in the form of agitation, frustration. Sometimes it's just fear. I've had business owners come to me that, you know, they were successful people and they had wonderful online platforms, but they just had this deep sense of fear, and that was getting in the way of them being their best in front of their audience. One particular woman, just if anybody had any sort of complaint, she'd take it deeply personally, and she'd like go hiding for, you know, some period of time. So after we did the session, she just felt freer and was able to walk down the street without fear, and so that allowed her to more fully engage with her business. Everybody's different. There's always, you know, I listen to what people are saying. So basically the roadmap that I'm looking at is, you know, where are they and what is that sensory experience like? What does it look like, feel like, sound like, smell like, anything that applies to the problem, the frustration, the pain that they're experiencing, and then what does it look like? You know, it's like if you're flying from LA to New York, mm-hmm. you need to know where LA is and you need to know where New York is. Mm-hmm. So that's your roadmap. So then I need the same sensory experience if you waved a magic wand and no longer had the problem. What does it look like, feel like, sound like, smell like? What is the experience of not having the problem? And that's the roadmap. It's like Googling your subconscious mind to find out what's going on there. How do we get from that point to that point? And you don't have to consciously know at all. Mm-hmm. The subconscious mind will give you the answers if you ask it the right questions. So
how long takes session like this?
Typically it's about 2 hours. Mm-hmm. So on the short side, it might be an hour and a half. On the long side, it can be close to 3 hours, but it seems that people get fatigued after a certain amount of time, so I like to keep it to around 2 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes. But to the person who I'm doing it with, it mm-hmm. might seem like a half an hour. They kind of lose track of their sense of time. Mm-hmm. So you're not unconscious, you're not, people think you have to be under or you have to be out. And did you feel under or out? No.
I was very conscious, and this is exactly what I wanted to talk about with this, because people are scared of, mm-hmm. if you never had hypnosis or this kind of like a past life regression, which is the same, it's just different kind of hypnosis, right? Yes, because there is different kinds of. It's absolutely not what I thought it is. I was literally thinking, I'm like, maybe I cannot control, or I don't know what's come out. I even ask you, I'm like, what if I have some sort of like really brutal past life or something, because that would be probably scary for me. Mm-hmm. And you say you can just control it. So that's why it was so confusing for me, because I was fully aware. I heard the sounds around, I was very conscious what you are asking me, but somehow I had all of the answers.
It's almost like being super conscious rather than unconscious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like you feel super conscious.
Yeah. Because I would say, you know, there's 4 brainwave states. There's delta and theta, which is your unconscious states, and then there's alpha and beta. So this is at the low alpha. You're sort of teetering between dream state and wake state. Mm-hmm. So you're aware of what's going on, you're having a conversation, and to lots of people they say, well, I don't feel like I was under. No, you're at that exact right spot. You want to be where you're just, you know, that consciousness, it's almost like a net. So when you get up into high beta and you're trying to accomplish lots of things, the net gets very, very tight. You get very focused on what you have to accomplish, and you're disconnected from your subconscious mind. But when you're relaxed and you're just about to float into sleep, then you have this wonderful super conscious awareness. And if you have somebody facilitating that is helpful for navigating that, then you experience things that you wouldn't otherwise have access to.
Yes, because that was for me the same. Like I'm like, was I really under hypnosis or not? Because I was so aware. But then at the same time, I was questioning, how would I know this?
Yeah.
How would I, like, how is that possible that I will have these images of my past lives?
And the fact that those images served you so well is my proof that you're having that conversation with your subconscious mind. And I get that. I mean, that is the nature of what I do. It's whatever somebody comes in with. And I work with a variety of different things. I mean, I've had people come in with health conditions that weren't responding to traditional therapy, so you know they wanted to have better access to understanding what was going on in their subconscious mind. I've had people with daily chronic seizures, you know, dramatically improve. Migraine headaches that have been with them forever, either disappearing or dramatically improving. TMJ, because it's very primitive to clench your teeth. This masseter muscle is the strongest muscle in your body, and when you're stressed, you know, it's very, you know, it's a natural reflex to clench your teeth. So if you're wearing a night guard and you know you're still like getting this horrible pain and you're destroying your jaw joint, you know, you want to go in and find out, well, what is the root and the cause and the reason for that tension, and release it that way. And I found that to be really effective.
I heard that hypnosis is one of the most effective and faster treatments. Right? Also for the various addictions, right?
Very much.
Yes, traumas.
Well, because somebody's self-medicating, they're trying to fill a hole, and you can't fill that hole. If you feel like you're not good enough or what you need isn't available to you, you know, if there's a hole there that is desperately needing to be filled, you can try to fill it with, you know, sex, shopping, drugs, food, whatever, and you can't do it. But if you feel whole and complete and fulfilled because you've addressed this portion of it, then you don't have to self-medicate.
Did you have any kind of, I would say, bizarre cases? Or what
Bizarre.
What would be for you, if we don't talk about bizarre, some sort of like a really extraordinary
Oh,
cases
okay. Well,
of
I can think of two that were just like, well, because sometimes you think you have to be really traumatized, and there's plenty of people who are really traumatized, and it's great for them too. And, you know, I've great results there. But sometimes it's something so mild, you'd think that can't possibly be carried with somebody. So one gal I worked with, and she's actually on my testimonial reel, but she was so afraid of snakes that if she saw a snake on her cell phone, she would hurl her phone across the floor. So she was missing out on hikes with her family because she couldn't dare expose herself to potentially running into a snake. You know, this had really adversely affected her way of life. And she knew what it was from. And you'd think, okay, well, she must have been almost killed by an anaconda somewhere along the way. And that's not true at all. She was in grammar school, and they had an assembly, and they had a boa constrictor there, and all the kids had to touch the boa constrictor just to see that it wasn't bad or dangerous before they left the assembly. She was so terrified, she escaped out the back. And that experience imprinted on her so much that she had this tragically fearful response to snakes. She was fine before this incident happened. So we just went back to that, and then the root, the cause, and the reason for that, and then dialogued with her about... So
you literally take the people back to that situation so they can kind of experience it again, or remember it again?
It's because there's information in there. If there's any trigger that that person's not consciously aware of, we want to know what that is. Because a lot of people... Some people think they know, or they have a suspicion, but you really want to see the whole picture and then pick up any other, because maybe that wasn't the first one. Maybe there was something prior to that. Maybe there was a seed that got laid earlier and that was just exacerbated. So you want to get to the first seed. You want to get to the root, the cause, and the reason. Chinese medicine is all about treating the root of the problem. Because, you know, if you've got weeds growing in the backyard, you want to pick them out by the root so they don't grow back. So that was one, and then we did the session, and you know, in the first session she had about 75% improvement, And then we did a follow-up, and
now she's probably
out hiking with.
Now she's probably
she's
having snake herself as a pet, right?
Well, I don't know about that. We're not quite there yet. We might need one more session before we accomplish that. But she's going hiking with her family. She's enjoying the outdoors, which she'd always wanted to do. You know, she doesn't hurl her phone across the room if she sees the snakes. And then another interesting one, and sometimes there's a lot of money attached to this stuff. So I had an oral surgeon whose father, you know, great family, supportive, but, you know, a lot of times there's family stresses and parents are working hard and they're not always as patient as they should be. And her sister was even smarter. They're both brilliantly smart. But the father kind of scolded her while she was doing her homework and criticized her for being stupid. And this embedded in her to the point where whenever she was working with her patients, she didn't even feel good about, you know, charging any money for, you know, this incredible amount of work that she had put in. So when I asked her, you know, she said, wow, okay, so we fixed that problem. So she understood, okay, I'm good. I'm good at what I do. I am worthy. You know, I've paid my dues. So it's perfectly okay for me to receive back for all that I'm giving. Because, you know, okay, for example, you know, take a deep breath in. Keep breathing in. Keep breathing in. Keep breathing in. Keep breathing in.
Can't anymore.
Yeah. You can't do that for very long. Same thing. Exhale. Exhale. Yeah. Keep exhaling. Keep exhaling. Keep exhaling. Keep exhaling. Keep exhaling. Keep exhaling. How long can you do that for? So life is a balance between, you know, giving and receiving. So if you're giving, you can't continue life that way. And it was harming her business because she wasn't standing in her power and saying, okay, well, this is what I'm worth and this is what I need to receive from my work. So we did this tiny little fix in her past. And I said, on a dollar wise, how much is that worth to you per month? She said about $10,000. So she makes $10,000 more because she's capable of receiving what is due her for her hard work and all of her studies.
What kind of questions would you give her to kind of like unscrew that?
So I don't really do anything. I'm just kind of the tour guide. I'm not inputting anything. Although if something's glaring at somebody and they're not seeing it, I might suggest to them what they're missing. But the real beauty is when you do the regressions, you get the whole picture, you get the sounds that people, you know, that occurred, what people said, what the feelings were that the person, and the meanings that that person attached to it, and then you have them connect the dots. And when they connect the dots, they know it's real.
That's
because
when the healing is happening.
Yeah, because I didn't put anything in there. Yeah. So. And then we'll often dialogue with the problem, and then we find that the problem isn't really a problem at all. It's the universe saying, hey, we need you to pay attention to this. You know, you're missing out on what life is offering you. That's so fun, because when somebody's been struggling with something, you know, year after year, decade after decade, and they're not living their maximal life, they're living something so much less, to see them turn the switch and say, oh my God, there's so much more for me now, and claim it and be happy with it. Because like exhaling all the time, how useful are you to the world if all you do is exhale? You know, you'll be on the floor dying.
Pretty much.
So how good a broadcaster are you going to be?
Also.
Yeah, how good of a therapist are you going to be? How good of an anything are you going to be if you're not in that beautiful exchange at the maximum of what you're capable of performing?
Did you have this kind of session do to yourself?
I've had several. My first entree to this, because again, I was in acupuncture and nutritional medicine for 23 years, so I was able to do with needles and talking to people and coaching them and guiding them. I was able to accomplish a lot. You know, I'd have people who were scheduled for surgery in 6 weeks and canceled it because they were doing so great, or they'd have an aha moment where they realized they were, because if you're working with somebody mentally, emotionally, spiritually, sometimes you just have to point out to them, well, you know, let go of the anger and resentment that you're hanging on to, and your life can flow again, and life will respond. But with this methodology where you're going into the subconscious mind, it just happens so fast. And that's what's so beautiful. And so for me, I had a patient come in who had a strong background with trauma, and she said, oh, this stuff is great. And when I found out that it was based in hypnosis, I said, oh my God, I want to meet this person, and let's do a change. And it just, because I had seen 2 of the best hypnotists in Los Angeles, and they were wonderful, interesting people. The experience of the hypnosis itself didn't do much for me. I mean, I learned from them because they were intelligent, wonderful people, but this rocked my world at a whole different level. And I just instantly knew I have to learn this.
So what did you need to sort it out when you were going there?
So, okay, so family, I don't think any of us, raise your hand if you had perfect parents.
Nobody?
Anybody out there? Some people.
I don't see anybody.
My dad was, I would put him in the narcissistic category, God rest his soul. But the world was the way he saw it, and you were kind of irrelevant, as to what your thoughts and feelings were. So there was a lot of healing that had to occur from that. Doing this process helped heal and unlock a lot of that. I also found, rather by surprise, because as I was getting the training, we all were working on each other, and so one gal was going through the exam portion. So I thought, well, I'd like to just kind of see if there's any money blocks in there. Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
I'm kind of wondering, like, why I'm not multi-millionaire yet?
I know.
20 years old, I get it.
It's like, yeah.
I was giving myself the same question.
It's like, yeah, I've accomplished this, and I won this award, I won that award. Yeah, why am I not, driving any car that I want, living in any neighborhood I want? I mean, things are good, but I could do better.
This is very interesting. I want to talk about a little bit more about this topic. Lots of people can relate to this, I'm sure.
Yeah, and so I picked this topic, and I didn't. So here we are in an exam setting, the room's full of 50 people all going through this examination. This woman is doing this subject on me, and I am bawling my eyes out. I could not believe what I was seeing in my memory. And then because, again, it's the person that's being worked on, you're connecting the dots.
What did you see? What kind of pictures did you have, if you can describe some of them?
Well, because money was a weapon when I was growing up, it wasn't loving, it wasn't supportive, it was a tool for control. So the first memory that I had was when I was a toddler with my dad, and it was so loving. And most of my experience was not that in the relationship. It had to do with control, and it was stressful. But that was a loving, loving, loving memory. And to go and experience that and see that in its technicolor everythingness, I was instantly in tears because it was so beautiful. And that's often what you see when you're going back into the subconscious mind. It's not all terrible. There's beautiful stuff in there.
I had all the good stuff.
And it's the contrast between the two of them that is informative, because there's so much rich learning in what is the connection between what I am doing and experiencing and the negative feelings and outcomes, and what's the connection between the positive ones. And then the beautiful thing is you get to do more of the positive stuff and eliminate the negative stuff, which is, again, part of why the work is so wonderful. So, that was the first memory, and then the next memory was negative stuff that went on with money manipulation in my family, and the next one was like really unpleasant. And then when I saw the progression between, again, the beautiful good stuff that you just melts you and warms your heart, and the stuff that's like, oh Lord, I don't want to have anything to do with that, you can inform the way you live your life right here, right now, in a more powerful way.
So is that because of this, exactly how you said, it was almost imbalanced, like you have all of these beautiful memories, and then you have all of these kind of like bad memories tied to the money. So that's when you create kind of block?
Well, when you see it, you can't do anything about it if you can't see it clearly.
Yes.
So once you see it clearly, but then there's processes that you go through where you're actually dialoguing with it, and you learn from the pain. The pain's there for a reason. It's like if you're limping and you've got a splinter in your foot that's, the size of a toothpick, you're in pain because the message is, take it out. Yeah. So it's the same thing. You want to, whatever pain's in your psyche, you want to take out the inciting incident and put in the stuff that nourishes and heals.
Absolutely.
So an interesting thing that I've noticed is that some people get the beautiful pearls of wisdom and instruction from current life memories, but there's certain instances where people get something wonderfully more informative from past life regressions. And I mean, even I would call it interdimensional travel, because sometimes people experience things, and I had this experience too, where it wasn't just on planet Earth. It was, I mean, I actually went out and
accessed different planes.
Yeah, and I had an experience where, and it was all about love. I went back and I was living in the Roman times, and I was with my partner, and there was just this glorious love between the two of us. And there was, courage and strength, and it was just really a beautiful, delicious feeling that I had with this person. But then I went and I experienced life in Atlantis, and then going into,
completely
outer space. And kind of looking at planet Earth like with this loving, protective energy. It was really interesting, but it was all about love and protection. And then I experienced another lifetime where I was some spiritual healer. Like I saw this pyramid, and I was off like meditating on this. I thought it was a pyramid or some type of high structure. But again, every scene was filled with just this divine love. So
because that's really what it is, actually.
Yeah.
Like we are here on Earth to have lessons, and actually life on this Earth is the hardest from everything else, right? Because even in the spirit world or that astral world or whatever is out there, it's all about actually love. It's unconditional love, and everything is connected.
And that was completely the message. It's like, it didn't matter at all whether I was with somebody, although that was beautiful and wonderful, but even just being this spiritual, and I mean, just being that spiritual being, serving the people, the humanity that I was around, was glorious.
Can reprogramming somebody else's mind can help them with their health?
That's a great question. So I mentioned that I've had people with chronic migraines for a long period of time not have them or dramatically improve them. Same thing with grinding the teeth. Digestive issues, because it's almost like we have three brains. We've got all the neurons in the brain, and then in the heart there's a whole nother massive set of neurons, and in the gut there's another massive set of neurons. So it's like we have three brains. So if the gut brain is not acting optimally, if it's blocked, if it's got negative programming that it's receiving all the time from the brain, your digestive is going to track. I mean, look at the number one cause of death in America. It's heart attack. So that's programming that's going into the heart. I mean, yes, there's blockages and cholesterol and all that, but people are dying of heartache. They're dying of not living their dreams. They're dying of suffering. So, because if you're happy, like Norman Cousins, he's cured himself from cancer because he just laughed all the time. He decided, look, if I'm going to die, I'm going to go out laughing. So he started laughing like crazy, and the cancer went away. So there's this very measurable phenomena of being happy and therefore being healthier. So absolutely somebody can, like for example, recently I worked on a woman who had chronic, debilitating daily seizures. And it was wearing her out. She was not responsive to her medications anymore. So her doctor asked me if I could, work with her and just see if it would help. And in 8 weeks, she was 80% of the way to her goal of turning the clock back amazing. 2 years, so that she wasn't having these horrible seizures at work and exhausting her.
What kind of treatment did you give her? Hypnosis?
Yeah.
Was it hypnosis, right?
So basically, usually what I do is I regress people 3 times so that I'm going back to the root and the cause and the reason for whatever the problem is. And then we just allow the subconscious mind to show us. You just trust the process. It's like, I just say, we're gonna go back to the root, the cause and the reason of whatever, and see what comes up. And sometimes it's very predictable, and other times it's completely out of left field. But it's like you get to be a detective. It's just you string them together and you you know, and again, I'm basically putting it back to the person I'm working with and saying, oh, okay, well, this is what your subconscious mind came up. You know, what's the pattern here? What are we seeing here? And again, if there's something so obvious and they're not seeing it, I'll point it out. But
you always let them kind of to just
85% of the time they get to figure it out. And that's much more powerful because, you know, I'm not inputting anything anymore. And then a lot of times just connecting to the energy. And
because we really have all of the answers inside.
Yes.
Yes. We just, again, we don't know how to ask proper questions.
Yes.
Or sometimes we are not conscious enough to kind of like, or be connected enough with ourselves. So for us, the answer is like so straightforward.
And a lot of times it's like, you know, when there's a problem going on in your mind, body, spirit, you know, it'll knock on the door. And then if you ignore it, what does it do? Knocks a little louder. And then if you keep ignoring it, it'll break the door down. So many times, like, I'm sure you know of somebody who's had a major health challenge or a major accident of some kind, and so often they will look back on that experience and say it was the best thing that ever happened to them because they learned something that changed the course of their life so dramatically for the better. Do you know of anybody that's been through something like that?
I have a few people, yes, who are even having kind of like a close death experience, really. But this is like on the really large scale, you know. But mostly, yes. Or if somebody, again, yes, I knew somebody who healed from cancer. And that was literally by power of mind and changing the healthy habits. So I also feel the food has a lot to do with that
Of
stuff,
course.
you know?
And
So
because I've got
it's the food, it's the diet, it's literally everything what you put inside.
Right.
Mentally and also what you eat.
Well, you
know,
can't think straight if your body and your brain is inflamed. So if you're feeding yourself nutritious food that's alkaline in nature, that's not processed, that isn't sprayed with all kinds of chemicals, then your brain can function better. Your mood is gonna, if your blood sugar is too high, so anybody that's dealing with depression, stress, or anxiety, you want to bring that blood sugar down if it's too high, because the standard American diet anyway, you know, obesity is through the roof, high blood sugar, diabetes, it's all way
very common diseases. Yes. In lots of my guys, if you are watching my videos or if you don't, but in lots of my videos I'm talking about positive mindset, positive lifestyle, manifestation, and I think this is also a lot to do with exactly with the mindset, right?
Yes. So again, you know, a lot of times people come to me because either they want their businesses to run better, or they've got money blocks, and sometimes people don't know, like sometimes they're just frustrated, like you were feeling kind of stuck. You wanted to get,
yes, I was like exactly how you said the frustration, it was kind of building inside me,
and you knew there was another level for you, but you just didn't know the roadmap, which is really
how
frustrating,
to access it.
Right?
Because I know my potential,
right,
and I feel my potential is so high,
right,
but it didn't reflect exactly on my life. I was very successful and I was very happy with my career, but I'm not happy enough because I felt inside I have so much more,
right,
you know, to experience, to give so much more potential. But I feel kind of like the level is here where I want to be, and I didn't know how to get there. So
in a situation like that, again, our starting point is the frustration and what that looks like, feels like, sounds like, smells like for you, and any triggers that bring about that feeling, because the triggers are very important. That's the unconscious neural network that is producing that result. And then you have the other side of it, like we wave a magic wand, and what does that life look like for you without any of this? And then you describe what that looks like, feels like, sounds like, smells like, and any triggers that would be associated with that. So you've got your roadmap, and then you just Google the subconscious mind, and I didn't come up with your answer, you came up with your answer. I wouldn't have even begun to know what to suggest. Well, you know? Yeah, I didn't know you at all. So basically you just came up with your own answers because you now had a roadmap to Google your subconscious mind and say, hey, how do I get from there to there? Firstly, this is me, but then I had one experience which was interesting for me because it wasn't really from the previous life. One of the last actually experiences, or one life, was from this particular life when I was 6 years old. You know, and I think that was also probably some pivotal moment in my life when I was 6 years old, like something happened which kind of like make imprint on me. Right. So I do want to mention that, you know, after we do our session, I take the sort of jewels from the session, that is the important things that, because we've kind of changed the neural network. We've looked at what's in the way and we've cleared that out, and we've put in something that's the destination roadmap that you want. So we make a 10-minute tape, 10 to 15 minutes, so that it's reinforcing that good programming that we've uncovered during the session, so that you get to listen to it over and over and over again, at least once a day for at least the next 21 days. Now yours was super useful, so you continue to listen to it months and months later.
Even now sometimes I listen to it,
which is beautiful.
Kind of like a reminder. So I still want to listen to it because it was literally the key words, and everything was like affirmations and super positive.
And that's the whole point, because you want all those, you know, all those positive triggers, you want those at your disposal so they can energize and fuel your direction, your rocket ship to your new destination.
Do you manifest?
Actually, I love what you do in the manifestation department. So yes, I'm always mindful to, well, even this last year, my whole world has changed. I mean, I noticed that I wasn't feeling that things were progressing where I was living. So I had always felt like I wanted to be surrounded by nature and hiking and breathing clean air and having, you know, beautiful animals around. So I shifted and totally changed my environment. I also shifted the way that I worked, because I had an office, and now I'm mostly working virtually with people. There are a few people here and there that I work with personally, face to face. But the beauty of doing the virtual is that I can really work with anybody all over the world.
Does it have the same effect? Like
absolutely.
The same effect?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, because, you know, the session is mostly, once you talk somebody down, their eyes are closed. So the communication is verbal and energetic, but energy, you know, as Einstein said, it's here to there instantly. So it doesn't miss a beat. You can be present in the room with somebody just on a Zoom call. And that surprised me, because I did not know that when I learned how to do that it would have the same efficacy.
What if somebody else has problem with somebody else's behavior in life?
That is a great question. So when people come to me, I'm thinking of one woman in particular. Her daughter was not somebody she got along well with, which could have been fine. They could have just lived apart, except that there was a son involved, her grandchild. So she wanted a relationship with the grandchild, but because of the relationship with the daughter, it was impeding on that. So it was breaking her heart. She was feeling frustrated. So my answer to her was, look, I can't change somebody else for you. I mean, nobody can force anybody else to change, but I can change your experience of that interaction and that relationship. And guess what happens typically when you do that? The whole thing will shift. So, we start with the beginning point, which is, okay, I'm frustrated. You know, I might get a pit in my stomach, whatever it is. I might clench my teeth. I might feel small. Whatever the experiential picture is for that person, and then, okay, we wave a magic wand. You don't have that problem anymore. What is that experience? So again, that's my roadmap, and go into the regressions, find out where in your life this got embedded. How old were you? What was the experience going on? What did you decide about reality? What did you decide about other people at that time? What did you decide about yourself at that time? What was the meaning you attached to whatever those experiences were that came up? And then, again, what's the connection? How are all these things connected? So you get to play a little detective. And then I will have people usually dialogue with whatever that problem is, and more often than not, I mean, it's almost invariably trying to do some service for that person. So once you get, oh, it's not there to hurt me, it's actually they're trying to help me, then you can work with the helping person, the helping energy of that, and maximize that while turning down the volume on the stuff that was the bad stuff. And then her whole experience of that situation changed. So it was just not an issue anymore.
Everybody we encounter is actually not the problem, it's the teachers.
Exactly. I know this wonderful story told to me by my psychiatrist friend, but there was a psychiatrist in Hawaii who, when he was working with somebody, he would read the case file, and then he'd go, okay, this person has a problem with X. and he would fix the problem in himself, and he would find that the patient got better.
That's interesting.
Isn't that fabulous? So it's always an inside job. It's like the world is a mirror for you.
Literally, yes.
Yeah.
That's the same, like, that's why we always have kind of like a rule, like, don't add things up. Or if something is bothering me, firstly I'm asking me why it bothers me. Is it something in like kind of is a reflection of me in somebody I see? What kind of irritates me or anything, you know? I always ask this question myself.
And how's it been for you?
Self-check.
Yeah.
No, it's good because firstly, like, I don't want to be bothered or I don't want to be bothered with things, you know? So sometimes, of course, it's my attitude, but when I figure it out, like, okay, why am I bothered with that? Is it something about me, why I kind of like dislike this kind of behavior or something? I always ask myself first.
And I'm
But
also...
it helps, it's just kind of like literally like a self-checking, you know?
Yeah. And I'm recently finding that, you know, when we go through life, we're often looking for a reason to feel good. What if you just let go of the reason to feel good and just feel good?
Simple as that, right?
It really is that simple, because the only difference between you and feeling good is a single thought. So let the thought go.
So for this, I think people need to meditate probably more, right? So they can kind of like learn how to be still. Or,
yes, turning off the mental chatter.
Exactly, just a little bit like turn it off.
Yeah. And that takes practice, because we're so used to being on the hamster wheel all the time, which is crazy making.
Do you meditate?
Oh, yes.
Every day?
I would say most days. I actually really, really like waking up in the wee hours of the morning, because if you're trying to be quiet, if you're trying to experience nothingness, literally just not even existing, the best time to do that is like 2, 3, 4 in the morning. So if you're awake at that time, and I will often get up and meditate, sometimes for half an hour, 45 minutes. It's so still, and you can go to that place of, like, I love Joe Dispenza. He's the guy that recovered from breaking every lumbar vertebra, and he did it without surgery. And he did it by not allowing himself a negative thought, by not eating anything but the purest foods, and just focusing on healing and really just doing a beautiful, beautiful job with that. So he talks about going into that state where you're just like not even in existence. You're just a thought in infinity. So the best time I find to do that is in those wee hours of the morning where everything's quiet. And you just can't duplicate that during the day, because you can feel, everything in
energy completely.
Everything in Chinese medicine is yin and yang. So it's stillness, darkness, quiet, and then there's bright activity, doing, achieving, and you can feel it. You can totally feel it when you're tuned into it. And I think a lot of the, if people that lived off the land and didn't have all the electricity and the TV and the radio, they were naturally attuned to this in a way that we could get educated about.
What do you think is the most common problem of people? So when you think of your patients, I would say, or clients, what do you think is the most common problem?
It's thinking.
It's thinking, right?
It's thinking, and it's problematic. It's erroneous thinking. Don Miguel Ruiz writes about it. We're all living in a mitote. It's like we're all believing this fantasy, and to think that we're all living the same experience is just completely not true. We've all got our own set of filters that we're looking through. So if you clean the filters, life gets a lot more beautiful. But if you're carrying around debris and dust and scratches and stuff from the past, it's going to you can't see anymore. Everybody's talking, visionaries, enlightenment. It means taking away the filters and seeing beauty and life and energy and God for all that is.
I know you study energy healing. How does that play a role in what you do now?
Another great question. So a lot of times when I'm working with people and we identify, because I like to, where in the body are you hanging on to this negative imprint, you know, what does it look like? What is there a texture to it? Is there a color to it? And then as we start connecting with it and dialoguing with it, sometimes it's right over a major chakra. So you guys all know about the energy centers, the root chakra, the sex chakra, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, and then the ajna, which is your inner vision, and the crown chakra, and then there's actually one above that too. And I did an amazing healing. Oh boy, I did this thing called sound vocal toning. So you made the sounds of the chakras with the colors and meditated with it. And once I got to this one, it was like the whole quantum field just was vibrating and speaking to me. It was extraordinary. And I've had that experience happen a number of times throughout my life. And I think that's part of my work, is just being connected to that incredible energetic quantum field that is just, it's so loving and so supportive and so non-judgmental and so open that when you see it and experience it, it just, you're just melting with like tears because you're, it's just, you have sheer gratitude for existence. It's so beautiful. Okay, I totally got sidetracked there. So, issues. What were we talking about before I got to that?
I asked.
Oh, energy healing. Okay.
How it helps you with it.
So one time, this fellow was, I mean, this was just in the last 10 days. He was, you know, connected to this problem, and it happened to be this gray spot right over the inner vision area, which is common for addicts. And he wasn't an addict, but his blood sugar was too high. So there's the sugar addiction and how that clouds his thinking. And when we did the energy shifts with the hypnosis, he was able to completely turn that around. And again, it wasn't me doing anything. I mean, I didn't say, oh, you know, do you feel anything at your ajna? He was telling me what he was experiencing. And then when we did the process to clean that out and install new neural networks that were supportive of him, it suddenly shifted to this beautiful, multicolored, light, beautiful, you know, spinning energy. So it's kind of fun when you see how the different modalities complement each other. So that's happened a number of times. A lot of times when people's stuck energy is described to me, like somebody just the other day described this area here, which is your solar plexus, as this rotten, stuck, like orange. Like a literal fruit orange that was rotting here next, you know, too close to her heart. And by the time we did the energy clearing, that had all gone away. And
where did that come from? What she was dealing with?
Well, she had a lot, you know, just a really bad history of people treating her badly and trying to survive and protect her children. And I mean, there was a lot of...
It was like all trap energy from that. Yeah.
So once we walked through the process and cleaned that out and installed new stuff, it shifted on its own, and it became this multicolor. It was diamond-like. It was like this beautiful, brilliant, light, multicolored, and people can feel the difference. And then when they get their audio tape to listen to each and every day afterwards, it just keeps reinstalling. We're really very much like a computer. So if you have a flawed aspect of your software, you know, I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not capable, other people get what they need, I don't, I'm different, some kind of message that's looping in there, you're just going to get the same outcome.
Usually manifested also is the same, you know, like you believe it so much that you actually manifest it into your life.
Right.
Because when it goes to your subconscious mind, that's exactly that connection.
Yeah.
And it manifests.
And you got very good at doing that, didn't you?
Very good. I'm really working on my manifestation every day.
Yeah.
You know, and I am so aware of things, what is happening in my life. And I'm very aware if I manifested it or not. And sometimes I'm so close, but it's not exactly what I want. And then I'm just fine-tuning it.
Beautiful.
So I'm learning manifestations every day.
And you keep a book at night where you write things in there?
Yes, I'm writing. Sometimes, yes, I'm trying to write almost every day. Sometimes I'm like good, consistent. Sometimes I skip a little bit, but it's okay, you know. Also, I'm I like visualization. So I do that, but in my past, I also cut out the pictures and I used to stick it into my notebooks. You know, I don't do that anymore, but I want to start actually.
I actually want to start again.
I want to start.
I want to take a whole wall and just start putting the pictures of what I want to.
But literally, so it's manifestations for me. It's a combination of things. It's not just like one thing. It's like when you do your healing and everything, and there is you applying everything, you know, from your experiences, all different techniques, all different, because you kind of, everybody is so individual, so you need to combine things what works for the particular person.
Exactly.
And that's exactly how I do my manifestation.
And what
works for me doesn't have to work for you.
Right.
You know?
And what I find so lovely is when I'm working with somebody, it's kind of just like, and I always ask permission. I ask permission from God, and I ask permission from my higher soul and from their higher soul. And I won't proceed if I don't get a yes on all three. So I really want to make sure that the whole energy field is supporting this experience that we're doing. And I just find things flow so much better that way.
When you're clearing somebody's chakras, do you feel that energy? Where is it trapped, or how do you do that? Or what is this kind of procedure? So
when I was doing the pranic healing, I studied with Master Choa, who was Master Ko's teacher. Master Ko's quite famous right now. Master Choa passed away several years ago. But we would just intentionally, you know, tune into the energy field and clean those chakras.
But you feel it, or how?
Oh yeah,
how is it?
yeah. Even with acupuncture, you can feel it. I mean, you know, you just take your hands and rub it.
I know,
yeah, and then you just, you know, you can feel men that just you wouldn't think they'd even entertain the idea. They'd be like, okay, that's kind of cool.
Because I'm like a different mindset.
Do more of that.
But if I'm lying on your chair, like, and you do that, and I have my eyes closed, I'm pretty sure I would feel it.
Because the needles are conducting energy between the points. That's the magic of acupuncture. There's something very, they call it sacred geometry, and there's something about a point that has an enormous amount of power, because it's like you're focusing all this energy down into this little single spot. So it's crazy how you can stick a single needle in and get this major analgesic effect, you know, blockage of pain, increase of circulation, dopamine release. I mean, there's videotape online that I've sent people that you can see open heart surgery being done with just acupuncture anesthesia. You can see brain surgery done with oh yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And there was a very brilliant researcher with the BBC who was curious about the mechanism behind it. So she got this little team of scientists together, like 5 or 6 of them, and they put people in a functional MRI. So a functional MRI is when you're laying on this bed, you're having the acupuncture done to you. This was actually points in the hand. This is an amazing point. This releases
what is this point?
Pain relief.
I got acupuncture today, that's why I'm asking. But I had needles in my ears and on my legs, right?
Yes.
So what is it about?
Well, this is just amazing. It's a master point for the head, but it's just, there's books written about this point. It's so powerful. But
if it makes me smarter, you can pour like 5 of them.
It's great for blocking pain. You know, you can have one of my colleagues treated another colleague for a root canal, and all they used was acupuncture anesthesia, and the patient felt nothing but pressure. So I've done it for dental work before, but not a root canal. Root canal is kind of a big deal. But my patient didn't feel anything but pressure either. So it's very possible to knock out pain. So anyway, this BBC reporter had this little team. They put somebody in a functional MRI, and you could actually see the pain centers in the limbic part of the brain turning off.
That's amazing.
So cool that they decided to investigate that.
What is the difference between conscious and subconscious mind?
Fantastic question. So you've seen the pictures of the icebergs, and you've got this little tip of the iceberg that's up, and then there's this giant monstrosity underneath there, right? Which you don't see. Well, that's like the subconscious mind. So the conscious mind's like that little tip of the iceberg. So if the tip of the iceberg wants to go in one direction and the bottom part of the iceberg wants to go in another, who's going to win that argument? The bottom part, right? Because it's like 90%. Yeah. So scientists estimate that our conscious mind is only 5 to 10% of our mind. So if you try to, I mean, how many people do you know have tried to diet and they can't because they just can't?
They just can't.
Or they, you know, want to work harder and they don't do it, and, you know, they'd rather go play. So the part of our brain that we're not aware of, that beats our heart, you know, 100,000 times a day, that breathes for us 30,000 times a day, that makes sure that our eyes are moist and that our nutrients are taken out of our food and our waste is discharged, or that our skin sloughs off, that our liver repairs, all these things that are going on, you know, billions of activities every day. That's all being coordinated by the subconscious mind. Could you imagine if you had to think about that all day long?
No way.
We can only, you know,
you
know, the human brain can go 1, 2, 3, yeah, whatever. So you have this amazing supercomputer going on, working on your behalf, And a lot of times when I'm dialoguing with people, I'll just say to them, okay, hey, we're going to allow that conscious mind to just take a, you know, it's great, we like it for a few things, but you know, we're really going to talk to this part of you that loves you unconditionally, supports you all the time, that's beating your heart no matter what, that's, you know, there for you day after day, that will do whatever it takes. That part's the part I want to talk to. And so I'll just a lot of times get conscious permission from the person to connect with that part of the body, because you know it's the supercomputer and it's running the show. So that's the part that we want to know. Hey, is there something in there that's preventing my healing? You know, one of the cases that I was familiar with as I was training was this woman who had one of the 4th worst tibia breaks, which is your shin bone, in all of LA history. And she was told, look, you're going to spend your lifetime addicted to pain medication and in a wheelchair. And she's like, no, I'm a former athlete. That is not my life story. So she connected with my teacher, and my teacher doesn't see people anymore. She trains people like me. But this woman came in and, you know, again, always go back to just see, is there a root cause and reason? Is there anything in there that this person might not be aware of or is aware of that's blocking the healing? And then you take that out and reprogram it with something that serves that person. And then you can actually direct the body to amp up its healing. You can where attention goes, energy flows, results. That's a measurable thing. You know, you can amp up this coherence between the heart and the brain, and you can actually lengthen your telomeres, which is your anti-aging marker. So if you can reverse aging and you can amp up your healing for health, you can make your digestive system work better. You can. I've had blood pressure improve. I've had 3 cases of blood pressure, young, healthy men. One of them was a fireman, one of them was an Olympic athlete, and another one was a very, very healthy man who just, you know, kept, his refrigerator was just loaded with the most healthy foods. But they all had high blood pressure. And they were kind of freaked out because they're like, wait, I'm healthy. Why do I have this crazy high blood pressure right now? And either through meditation or through hypnosis, we solved it, because it really is just about getting the body back into balance and out of that sympathetic response. Your sympathetic response is that fight or flight response. Something is wrong. I have to run for my life. I have to fix something. Something's wrong. That's the sympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system is, everything is safe, digestion can happen, you know, you can have connections with other people, your hormonal system, your digestive system, and your immune system is all on. But that can't happen if you're stressed out. Chronic stress is a big problem in our world today, because there's this message 24/7, 365, something's wrong. And you watch television and the message is, you're not okay, you need this. Right, you know, you have to buy this, do this, because you're not okay. So that's one of the big things that I think needs to change in our society. We need to do whatever is necessary on a loving, social, interactive level, where we just truly support each other and get to the point where we know that we're okay in and of ourselves and don't need all the external stuff to validate us.
Yeah, that was nicely said.
Thank you.
What is it for you? What did you learn in life?
In life, oh, wow.
I always give this question to all of my guests.
What did I learn in life?
What did you learn? You know what I mean? Like, what is it for you?
Okay, you know, I'm honestly going to thank you for an interview. Can I thank you for one of your interviews?
Yes.
So you interviewed Rhonda Burns, and she did The Secret, but her newest book is the one that just resonated with me big time, The Greatest Secret. The Greatest Secret is, gosh, how can I say it? She interviewed so many masters. There's some just wonderfully enlightened people walking the planet today that are just so at peace because they've let go of wanting things to be other than how they are. And if you can truly feel that in every aspect of your being, that this is perfect. This moment, this is the only moment that ever exists, is right here, right now. And if you can be in love with that moment
and present,
it's so beautiful.
So that's what you would say?
I would say that's the biggest takeaway. My meditation teacher would say, Tara, if your happiness is dependent on stuff out there, you can't ever really be happy. So it's freedom. It's freedom. Total freedom.
Can you give us example how you can reprogram somebody through trauma?
From trauma?
From trauma.
Okay. Yeah, this work is very good for, I know the military is using it for post-traumatic stress disorder. Again, it's programming that's gotten into the mind. People have a switch that says danger, 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 and then, you know, think about yourself. If you thought you were in danger 24/7, 365, month after month after month, would you really be better off to deal with your circumstance, or would you be so fatigued and burnt out that you would lose your ability to react appropriately? Do you understand what I'm saying? So, for example, somebody came to me and she had had multiple people in her life that were sociopathic. They were capable of doing her harm. And so there was part of her that was on high alert all the time internally, which is exhausting. It's really an exhausting state to be in. So by going back and again, you're not changing the outside world, but if you can change your internal world so that you're not responding to stuff from the past, then you can more appropriately deal with the present moment, and you can deal with it with more peace, with more awareness, with more calmness, and more appropriately, because you're not you know, having a reaction to something that existed in the past. You're present and responding to the present moment. Does that make sense?
Why do you think like people literally like attract sometimes so many like bad behaviors or the same pattern? Why do you think they keep
just worked on somebody yesterday that was like, please help me break this pattern, because I've done it over and over and over and over again. And it's like we're magnetized for it. So if it's all energy, you know, like attracts like. So if you're vibrating at that level, if your memory of that, you're going to keep attracting that same situation. It's almost as if the body is attracting it so you have an opportunity to heal it. But if you just demagnetize from it, if you just go into the mind and resolve it, you're not a magnet for it anymore. Yes, what you resist persists.
Yes.
And it's so true. It's like, you know, if somebody's afraid of something, it's almost like they're bringing it into their world. So for example, you know what, in New York City, they wanted to prevent muggings and rape and stuff like that. Guess how they did it?
Tell me.
They didn't go looking for the perpetrators because they were too hard to identify. Guess what wasn't difficult to identify?
The victims?
The victims. Because victim energy, people can spot it, it's there. So if you can change that energy and not be signaling to the whole world, hi, I'm a victim, come victimize me. And I'm not blaming,
a good example, by the way.
I'm not blaming the victims, but it just kind of points to the fact that if you stop sending out that signal, you know, and switch that over to an empowerment signal, just standing, you know, like that Wonder Woman stance. Seriously, they've measured that your cortisol levels drop something like 35%. Your testosterone increases just standing like Wonder Woman with your hands on your hips and your legs apart and, you know, strong. Your testosterone goes up 30%, and your ability to take on a challenge increases for standing like that for 2 minutes. So the power that we all possess that we're not tapping into is tremendous. Breath work. Most wonderful, you know, meditation, martial arts, all of these different, the Navy SEALs, you know, they practice breath work. Why? Because it affects your physiology, it affects your state. You change your state, you change what you think. So again, there's just all these amazing tools that we want to embrace and plug into our lives so that we're not missing out on living life to the maximum.
That is always my goal. Like, I want to be the best version of myself.
Right.
The best, the happiest, the healthiest.
And what's so great is, you know, we're not reinventing the wheel. There's brilliant people out there. And I feel really blessed to have been able to play in this playground for so long, because there's brilliance out there, and there's just so much for us all to just take our lives to a better level.
What is your favorite part about your job?
My favorite
part. What do you
Oh.
love the most about your job?
lights me up more than anything, having somebody come in. Okay, just the other day, I got a call from a mom and a doctor. They were worried about this woman being reinstitutionalized. There was a boyfriend breakup, and she was, you know, in a bad place. And fortunately, I had worked with her on a headache issue. She reached out to me, and we were going to do a session the next week, but, you know, we jumped it up and we did it that day. And, you know, she was feeling horrible. I mean, I poor thing. I mean, we do Zoom sessions. I do Zoom sessions, and I thought, wow, she's really hurting. You know, she was broken out and just miserable. And so, but the beauty of it is it's, the pain is trying. What does Rumi say? Rumi says, darkness is your candle. You know, it will light your way. Pain is your teacher. You know, all these great mystics and sages and teachers, they all say the same thing, which is, it's trying to tell you something. So if you just get the message, you can turn that into your greatest ally, like immediately. So, you know, we took her back to the root, the cause, and the reason for all the pain that she was going through, and she could go, oh my gosh, you know, this happened to me when I was a child, when I was 3, when I was 6, when I was whatever. And then when you realize, I'm not that age anymore. I'm not that little person who was at the whim and the control and, you know, trying to make sense of a horrible situation that a little kid can't make sense out of. So they get all twisted and thinking that they're the problem, and they've got to, you know, be more, do more, to fix things that are not fixable for a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 7-year-old. It's just not possible. So you unplug all that angst and all that messaging that says you're bad, you need to change, and plug in good stuff, and then dialogue with that pain. And then you realize, oh, the pain's actually trying to say, hey, wake up, you know, you're better than this. You can do more, you deserve more. And then when you see that, you're like, okay, I got the message. Yeah, please, come on in. So it stops being an enemy that you're trying to push away, and then you realize, wow, this is a gift for me. And if I just receive the gift, plug it in, then woohoo, everything's better. And it really is that simple. I mean, that is the typical process. And it doesn't matter whether it's business frustration or a health issue. And it's not like every single health issue will respond, but very often, if you just optimize your body energy, optimize this, then the gut also improves, the heart improves, the brain improves, and relationships improve. Like that woman that ran the dental practice, I mean, we fixed that issue in her past. It also improved her marriage. It improved her relationship with her kids. It made her a better parent. It made her less stressed out when she got home. So there's this whole cascade of events that occur when somebody is imbalanced. I mean, it's like if you're driving around on a tire that's not balanced, you know, boom, 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 boom. You know, how fast can you go when your tire's going boom, 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 boom? You know, you can't go on the freeway and drive 80 miles an hour without the, you know, axle falling off.
It's incredible how everything is connected, and there is such a fine lines between the, you know, like it is so fragile, I feel.
Yeah. And it's this, I mean, I guess if you get really enlightened, it's not a mystery anymore. But for most of us living this life, you know, it's this mystery, and to be alert and awake to what life is teaching you. I mean, you love it, don't you? It's you,
I love my
all
life.
the people that you get to meet, and the journeys that you get to go on, and
even the lessons, because it's literally like that. The hardest lessons I got in my life was the best ones. Absolutely.
What you just said is so true, because as you're going through it, it seems like the worst thing in the world, and then afterwards you're like,
the best. But then you look back. That's why, like, every time is something happening in my life, and I'm kind of like, oh, like, not necessarily that I like it, but I'm always conscious of, I know that when I look back, it will be good. You know what I mean? So I have this kind of belief, or even affirmation, I would say, everything what is happening in my life is happening for my betterment, or for better.
It's happening for you, not to you.
Yes, but always for a better.
Yeah.
So anything can happen, and I know it's going to be for better. So it might feel hard at the moment, or this particular moment, but it's not gonna last forever, you know? So that's why also I'm so optimistic, I think, or I have this kind of mindset, but I'm very positive because nothing is gonna last forever. You know, the situation is gonna change.
And it's it's more painful to not go for what your heart wants.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's actually, literally, if you don't live your life the way you want, or you don't get the things in life you want, like it's, firstly, it is your fault, but it's stopping you. So it's kind of like, I would feel it's literally waste.
Yeah.
That I'm like 60 years old or 70, 80, and then I look back and I started to have regrets. I didn't do these kind of things when I was younger. I don't ever want to get to that point.
Don't die with your music still inside of you.
Exactly.
It hurts too much.
Yes. So
it's like we're living here for a reason, and it just feels so beautiful to embrace that.
And this is my only experience as a Ivana, as me right now, as Ivana tattoo artist or whatever I do. Only once. This is the only shot I have, you know. So I'm not thinking of what's gonna happen, like even in 2 years' time or 5 or whatever. Like, I think I'm really living at the moment, you know, and I want to have always full-on experience.
And when you're in that state, do you find that your life is so much more supported by the universe?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, really, I love it. Literally, every day I wake up and I'm so happy because I'm like, oh my God, another day. What's good gonna happen to me? What kind of great news I'm gonna receive today? But every day I'm like this.
And that's another example of asking the right questions, because if you wake up and you say, how am I going to get through this day? Then your brain goes, oh, there's bad stuff going on there. Let's go look for the bad stuff. But you're waking up and you're saying,
I'm already expecting good news.
Yeah, what's great going to happen today? So your brain's going and looking for that. It's a computer.
Yes.
And so those questions, I mean, you can turn your whole life around just asking a better question.
Exactly. By asking better questions, exactly, you will get better things in life.
Right.
And the quality of your life.
So I like to say to myself, what is amazing about this moment?
Yes, and also, you know what, if you look at your life, like right now, it kind of like show you your way of thinking, you know? So if you have something in your life disturbing, or you don't like it and stuff like that, it is exactly your direct reflection, I think, of your thoughts.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, because it's all a mirror.
Exactly.
And the beauty of seeing that and feeling that, and it takes practice. It's not...
Of course.
Yeah, it's not as...
But I always say, like, every day, you know, some people think it's hard. Like, okay, it's hard, but how hard, or how is it, if you develop the new habit, it takes literally, like, I don't know, 1 month, 21 days, they say, you know, to develop the new habit. But it's not like you wake up tomorrow and you are suddenly new person, but every day you can do, I always say, baby steps. Do one step at a day, and you will see when you look back, like, let's say 3 months back, like where you were that time and where you are now, just to kind of compare it, because it's very measurable. You can see the big difference,
right?
You know, so it's like step by step. It's not like you wake up in the morning and suddenly you are new person, you know. So people are lazy, in my opinion, to do that, you know, because it's so much easier to live on this old program, so much comfortable, so much easier, instead of doing something to develop the new habit. But end of the day, the old habit costs you more than the new habit. Right.
And so to that point, it's harder to live life asleep.
Yes.
Because the pain gets to be... Exactly. But the pain is the thing that drives you to do better. So even though it feels like a bad thing at the time, it really, it's a force that's trying to get you to move in the right direction.
Thank you so much, Tara.
I loved seeing you. I adore you. I'm a big fan of your work, and thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Guys, if you have any questions for Tara, please write in the comment underneath this video, and I will make sure to connect with Tara, whether we do it again in the person, or we might do Facebook or Instagram live. In any case, you can give us any questions, write in the comment, and I will make sure that I will answer it for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It's been so nice to be with you. So nice to meet your guests.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.